Hey guys, welcome back to Pro Gun. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, leave your comments. Today's video is how to select your first firearm. Now, since 2020, the amount of new gun owners is just off the charts. And walking into a gun store and trying to pick out a firearm can be a little overwhelming. So I'm hoping I can give you the information to make that decision much easier to purchase the firearm that's right for you. Now we're going to break things down into different categories, but the first thing is that you need to set some expectations. Number one is the intention of the firearm. You intended to use it at the gun range to shoot paper targets, are you going to use it for hunting, or are you going to use it for personal defense? You also need to set a budget. A good quality firearm is going to cost you between $500 and $600. If you don't have the money, wait until you have the money, save up the money, and get a good quality firearm, especially if you're going to use it for defense. We're going to break the firearms down into two categories, revolver and a semi-automatic. All these firearms are unloaded. A revolver is very simple. There's very few moving parts in a revolver. They're extremely reliable. I've never seen a revolver not fire. Ease of use. You open it up, you drop in your cartridges, close the cylinder, and it's ready to go. Some of the drawbacks to the revolver is because it's got to rotate the cylinder, that trigger pull could be long and hard. And if you have arthritis or you have weak hands, it just may not be that easy for you. And the second thing is the ammunition capacity. Most revolvers typically only hold between 5 and 6 rounds. And in a defensive situation, it just may not be enough. So I would not recommend a revolver for your first firearm. Now we have semi-automatics. The semi-automatics are very easy to use. You put the magazine in, you rack the slide, and it's ready to go. And after firing your magazine, when it's empty, you just press the button, drop the magazine, put a new one in. Now, if you want to avoid sounding stupid to your firearm owner friends, these are magazines. They're not clips. Only Joe Biden calls them clips. Next thing to take into consideration is the feel. It's got to feel right in your hand. I would go to a gun range and I would rent a gun and try a couple different firearms because I know I've done it. I fell in love with the way a gun looks. It looks really cool. And then you purchase the gun without firing it. You take it to the range for the first time and you find out that it doesn't fit your hand right. It's not comfortable to shoot. Next consideration is the frame size. This is a Glock 21 45 ACP full size. It's a very big and bulky gun. It's got a large frame, and if you're carrying it after a period of time, it could be a little uncomfortable, especially with 45 ACP in it. And then I have the Glock 30. This is also 45 ACP, and this is subcompact. But I like this because when I ride the motorcycle, I can have this on all day long and not even know it's there. And the barrel length. The barrel length on this is definitely going to be more accurate than the barrel length on this. However, according to the FBI statistics, most shootings occur between 3 and 7 yards, so it's not really that big of an issue. The only difference is that with a heavier barrel, it'll definitely reduce the recoil. Now this 45 ACP doesn't recoil anywhere near as much as it does on this one. And while we're on the subject of the fit, this is the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ. Not only does it fit your hand well, the nice thing about it is that it really is easy to rack the slide. 2 fingers is all it takes. Now I got this for my wife because my wife tried racking the slide on these Glocks, and especially this 45 ACP. It's got a double ejector spring. She found it really hard for her to rack, so she uses the EZ Shield, and it works perfectly for her. So that could be another consideration. Then you have the 1911 platform. 1911 is a great firearm. I own quite a few of these. I carry them a lot. 1911 probably has the best trigger on any firearm on the market. In order to properly carry a 1911, it's meant to be carried cocked and locked. What that means is one in the chamber, the hammer back, and the safety on. Matter of fact, you can't even put the safety on the 1911 unless the hammer is all the way back. Okay? I do not recommend any firearm that's got a mechanical safety for a first-time gun owner. The reason being, you're in a defensive situation. You're only going to have 1 second to take that shot. Pull out your firearm and oops, oh, forgot the safety. You may not get to take a second shot. A lot of people feel more comfortable with a safety on their gun, but I would not recommend a firearm with a safety for a first-time gun owner just for that reason. If you take a pistol defense class or gun safety class, you don't need a safety because you already know your finger will never be on that trigger unless you're ready to pull the trigger. The barrel length does matter if you're going hunting or if you're going to a range. Obviously, the longer barrel, the more accurate it's going to be for shooting targets, and especially if you're entering competition. But if you're using it for personal defense, it's not that much of an issue. Next, we're going to go to the ammunition. The ammunition you carry, if you're shooting paper targets at the range, the ammunition can be just regular full metal jacket. However, for defensive purposes, you're going to want to carry hollow point ammunition. And that hole in the center of the hollow point allows the bullet to mushroom when it comes in contact. And because of the mushroom, the bullet expands much more, greatly reducing the velocity and causing much more internal damage to the organs, as opposed to full metal jacket that may just go in and out and not cause as much damage. The hollow points also reduce the over-penetration. The last thing you want to do is have to fire your weapon and you strike your threat and it goes through them and it hits another person. And lastly, the most important thing to take into consideration is the caliber. If you're going to carry a revolver, even though I recommend not owning one, the minimum caliber for the revolver should be a .38 Special. However, my feeling is I would purchase a .357 Magnum because the .357 Magnum will allow you to carry .38 Special or .357, so you get two guns in one. On the semi-automatic, the minimum cartridge caliber I would recommend is a 9mm. Now, there's a lot of people that like the .380s, but in my opinion, I do not believe a .380 is enough power to neutralize a threat. Now, granted, it is all about shot placement. If you shoot somebody in the right place, even a .22 will do enough damage. But under duress, you're not going to shoot your gun as accurately as you will in the gun range. So a 9mm would be the minimum. I prefer the .45. Both 9mm and .45 are readily available, and even though all ammunition is expensive at this time, 9mm and .45 is still fairly reasonable compared to other calibers. So caliber is definitely something to take into consideration as well. I like carrying a 10mm. The problem is it's very difficult to find 10mm ammo, and even when you do find it, it's very expensive, so I reload my own. So I hope I've given you enough information to make a decision on what's right for you. And to recap, this is, I would not recommend a revolver for a first-time gun owner. I would recommend a semi-automatic pistol. I would not recommend a 1911 or any firearm that's got a mechanical safety, being you don't need one because you're following the rules of gun safety. And the caliber, no less than 9mm for a semi-automatic. And if you do choose to buy a revolver anyway, no less than 38 Special. After you purchase your firearm, I highly recommend you get training. Firearm is a tool. If you don't know how to use the tool properly, you can injure yourself or others. I'd like to see your opinions, so please leave us feedback, comment on the video. Again, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.